2-1 series victory for Sri Lanka. Not the best circumstances, but they'll take it. Encouraging signs for Sri Lankan cricket. We are going to talk about it here at Timeout with SportsAdda. Hello, Arun. Very bizarre series. Sri Lanka won, but I don't know how they'll take it. It's a very bizarre series, isn't it?
Bizarre series, but it's been a long time coming, Akhil, for Sri Lanka. The last time they
Hmm.
beat India in any kind of format, test matches, ODIs, T20Is, was 2008. It takes us
Wow,
all the
that's
way
really
back
long.
to that era of Muralidharan, Dilshan, Matthews, all of
Prime
Dilhara
Malinga.
Fernando, Malinga. Yeah. So it's been a long time coming, but happy for them. Happy for Sri Lanka that they managed to win a series. They've endured some tough times recently. It's good for them.
Good for them. And we've been speaking about certain players, and I was really happy that Hasaranga was the man of the series. He was really beaming yesterday on a birthday. I mean, can you ask for a better birthday present than this? Like getting your side up, making wickets, and winning a series. I mean, ultimately, that is something that all cricketers want, right? To be a part of a winning team.
Yeah, I mean, we attempted to do the show yesterday, uh, but yeah, I mean, uh, he's a champion player, absolute champion. I don't think anybody's spoken highly about him than we have on this show. Uh, no, elevated to number two on the ICC T20 rankings, absolutely brilliant. I've always believed he's got something special. His batting is disappointed to a certain extent. There's room for him to work on it, but his bowling's been absolutely top class, Akhil. And you mentioned his birthday yesterday. Best figures by any player on his birthday in T20 internationals. 4 for 9 yesterday. He absolutely killed it, smashed it.
Absolutely killed it. Different problems for the Indian team though. I mean, nobody would have expected to lose 7, 8 players in one go, and especially these are all experienced players. But I mean, I'm sure the management would have been wanting
Hey,
to a
hey,
little.
hey! Before you even go beyond that, we were talking about experienced players, but that was India B experience. It wasn't the India A experience. The Virat Kohlis, the Bumrahs are all in England. So you're talking about experience in the second string itself, right? But to lose them, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Rahul Dravid and Paras Mamre, they're both like seasoned cricketers. They have also gone through the same grind that Zakaria has, or Warrior has, or the others, Sanju Samson. They're all playing Ranji Trophy, which Dravid, Paras Mamre have played enough, Arun. And I'm sure the expectations from these players, even if they are only five batsmen playing, maybe they could have expected one of them to just stand up and just play through the innings. I mean, 81 happens in T20 cricket. Teams do have off days and they do collapse. It's acceptable in T20 cricket. But I'm sure they must have wanted a little more application. I mean, that's what Rahul Dravid be expecting. Even though there is not much to gain from this series from each of them, they are not going to get a team selection in the T20. But expectations from Rahul Dravid are something that every cricketer, these youngsters, will want to fulfill, especially when you're watching and working so closely with him. Isn't that so?
Hmm. Hmm. Before I react to your question, Akhil, let me just quickly read through the summary of what happened in the game. You briefly referred to 81, right? It was a bizarre match. And I say bizarre because once India were pushed on the back foot, you knew
Hmm.
this was going to happen because there was not too much experience, like you mentioned, in the load on the order. I mean, when we saw in the one-day international, Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Deepak Chahar bailed you out. But that doesn't happen every day, does it? If you
Yeah.
look at the scorecard, if you read through that summary, who is the top scorer? Kuldeep Yadav. How often do you see this in an international? He's got 100 in first class cricket, yes. But in an international game, how often do you see a Kuldeep Yadav top scoring? So 81 for 8 in 20 overs, India batted out. And then Sri Lanka, they were rattled a bit early on, but yeah, it wasn't going to test them at all. 82 for 3 in 14 and a half overs, easy win for them. But yeah, coming back to your question, Akhil, uh, you shouldn't read too much into that game.
Yeah.
I know Rahul Dravid and Paras Mamre will have expected a better performance, but you can get blown away on days, and it was a one bad game for them.
One bad game, and I'm sure the one thing that I heard a lot of these commentators speaking yesterday on air is that the younger Indian players have not been able to bat on sluggish wickets. Okay,
Hmm.
but that is going to be the fact for everyone. I mean, they are talking about Indian players because they're watching the India games. They've
Hmm.
not got a chance to maybe watch the West Indies versus Australia ODIs which are happening where they are producing low totals. So I think it was a little unfair for them to say that Sanju Samson and Padikkal are not able to play on sluggish tracks. The two pitches that we got in the last two games, Arun, even if you would have had a Virat Kohli and a Steve Smith or a Ben Stokes or a Chris Gale there, they all would have struggled there. It's not like T20 cricket is meant to be played on these kind of tracks. So it was a tough one. I mean, you can't blame the batsman too much.
Two things, Akhil. One, uh, it's a wrong notion that India plays spin well. It doesn't happen anymore. You don't get the VVS Lakshman, you don't get the Amol Mazumdar, you don't get the Rahul Dravids, you don't get the Saurav Ganguly smashing left-handers anymore, right? You don't get the Tendulkars anymore. That era of playing dominating spin is gone around the world, right? As far as nobody in the world plays spin well. So I don't think it's a right to put the criticize batsmen and saying they don't play well on sluggish. It's not left to Indians alone. It's a worldwide phenomenon.
Absolutely.
Uh, and you spoke about Sanju Samson and Devdutt Padikkal and people. I have a problem with Sanju Samson. This kid is gifted, immensely gifted. I mean, I call him a kid, but this player is immensely gifted. What frustrates me is he doesn't make the most of his opportunity. Every time you look at the team list, most squads as a reserve wicket keeper, as the 14th batsman, Sanju Samson's name will be there. But why can't he capitalize on those opportunities? He'll get one game a tour, right?
Yeah.
But he won't score those runs. But he'll come back to IPL, he'll get you a brilliant 100. He will boss domestic cricket, right? That's frustrating for me. That's frustrating for Rahul Dravid and Paras Mamre. They've seen him grow. They've seen him grow from the NCA, from the under 19 ranks, India A. That was a disappointment for me.
Very interesting. And I mean, there are some notions. One good positive thing for India is that again they got Rahul Chahar who bowled like a tiger in both the matches.
Hmm.
Really, really impressive. The kind of zip that he was getting off the wicket. He matched Hasaranga for every trick. Bowled his googlies, bowled his leg spin, showed the fight on the. That's the kind of spirit. I mean, I would love to see that kind of spirit when your team is just bowled out for 81 but you're still
Hmm.
wanting to come and bowl those 4 overs. You still think you can run through the side. I feel Arun with a much more captain who was motivated to become a captain and show his leadership skills. We could have had two closer games.
Hmm. Couple of things, yeah. Akhil. You picked out Rahul Char. I think he was a find of the series for me. We know what he's capable of. We've seen him do this in the IPL year in year out.
Hmm.
So I had no questions about him. Rahul Char definitely the pick of the series for me from an Indian perspective. Couple of other players I will talk about. Three players in fact I've listed down. Deepak Chahar did well. Bhuvneshwar Kumar did well, and it was heartening to see Bhuvneshwar Kumar come back and do his thing with the ball.
Yeah.
I was also happy with Varun Chakravarti. Didn't pick up wickets yesterday, but couple of games he played, I think he's kind of thrown his name into the ring as far as the World Cup is concerned. No, India should consider him for the World Cup because he's an unknown quantity, and now he's going to give Kuldeep Yadav, Yajwendra Chahal a run for their money. If India do not play any T20Is in the lead up to the World Cup, I think Varun Chakravarti should be a number 15 in that list.
My problem with that, Arun, is that while Varun Chakravarti is a fantastic bowler, he gets the zip of the wicket. You don't know where to bowl with him. But isn't there a criteria to be in the Indian team that you have to match certain fitness standards, you have to be able to field better and all? And if that is the criteria, then why does Ravichandran Ashwin miss out? I mean, Ashwin has been probably one of the best spinners in IPL over the last 4 years, 3, 4 years, whenever he's bowled for Kings 11, last 2 seasons, he's been fantastic for whenever he's bowled for Delhi team. But apparently his fitness was an issue in T20 cricket. But come on, that guy can bowl your tough overs in power play. He's intelligent enough to bowl in the end. He can bowl leg spin if you want. He's a much better batsman than anything that we put out in the last 2 years as in the bowling department. And he's not such a poor fielder. It's going to be interesting how these selectors think now.
I see where you're coming from. Ashwin's definitely a name, we should talk about. Uh, Regarding your question about, fitness standards, etc. Look, every rule's got an exception, right? And eventually it's left to the captain. If the captain
It's
wants
left
a
to the
player,
captain.
he should have it his way, right? We've seen. Let's talk about
That's
Chris
been
Gale for a
happening of
minute.
a lot, isn't it? That's been happening in Indian cricket. The captain is getting whatever he wants.
We could have a complete episode, an hour long, couple of hours long episode on this. Okay, let's not talk about it here, but let's talk about Chris Gale, right? Now,
Yeah,
Chris Gale is not the swiftest movers on the field. He plays in the IPL, which is the most competitive league in the world. Plays every damn match, right? For Punjab. Plays in the West Indies national team now. He's been recalled. Dwayne Bravo is not the fittest anymore. Yet they're playing T20 internationals and they are being considered among the favorite, like top three, top four favorites. Despite having two, three players you probably need to hide, they're being counted favorites. So I don't see any problem with Varun Chakravarti. Look, in a team of 11, you could have one poor fielder. That's allowed. And Varun Chakravarti possibly slots into that one place.
well, let's hope the Indian captain thinks of him as a highly. I mean, obviously, when he bowls to him in the IPL, he will think of him as a very highly rated bowler, and he'll get a pick.
There's
I mean,
there's a mystery, Akhil. The reason I'm insisting on Varun Chakravarti, there's a bit of mystery around him. No matter
mm,
how many videos you see, for the first time you play him, there's a bit of a question in your mind from a batsman point of view.
yeah,
What's
yeah.
coming out of the hand? And India need to encash that bit of mystery right now in the World Cup.
Absolutely. And important thing before we wrap up for this series and like we'll move on with the next episodes. Uh, is there more to think about Rahul Dravid and Paras Mamre being assigned as coaches for this series? I mean, knowing Rahul Dravid's reluctance to travel and like be out of
Hmm.
Bangalore for so long, I was personally surprised that he took up this assignment for say 15-20 days. He knows these players very well, but it's not like he's going to change their games drastically in 15-20 days. And anyways, when
Hmm.
you're playing with such international top class, I don't know what difference in 15-20 days he can make. But is there more that we can look forward to is what I'm looking forward to, Arun. Because very frankly, Rahul Dravid could have just sat in Bangalore. He could have done speaking sessions every day and earned a lot more money than what he could have by going on this series. But the fact that he has agreed, can we read more onto that?
We can read more into that, but I will add a star at the top of it. This could be seen as Rahul Dravid testing waters, but like you mentioned earlier, Akhil,
Hmm.
it's about is he open to traveling, let's say 200 days a year? That's the question mark. There's
Hmm.
no question mark. Rahul Dravid as India coach will add value, uh, but does he want to travel so much? Uh, Another question I would like to add is will he match up with Virat Kohli's wavelength? The way Virat Kohli sees the game, approaches the game. That's the big question mark. We saw what happened to Anil Kumble. People from two different ways of school, two different thoughts of school. So
Hmm.
will Rahul Dravid and Virat Kohli be on the same page? Will they talk cricket the way a coach and a captain need to talk? Too many
Hmm.
variables at this stage, but I think Rahul Dravid was testing waters. And in his
Yeah.
own words, I think after last night's match, he mentioned that I'm not sure, I've not thought about it yet. But it will come up for question in a couple of months when Ravi Shastri's contract runs out.
That's going to be interesting. But I hope Paras Mamre stays in the hunt. I've always respected him whenever he's been playing for Mumbai. He's been a stalwart. He's seen Ranji Trophy very closely. He spent time as a Ranji Trophy coach also. So he's bowled long spells in first class cricket, also bowled in England, seen bowlers across various conditions. So he's a very smart pick. Obviously, the current Indian coach he's been around for a long time. Mamre is a little younger than him. So there will be time when there is succession planning. So maybe this is a long-term plan the Indian team is looking at. So I'm hoping people like Mamre stay in the mix and then they get their opportunities eventually.
You spoke about Dravid knowing these players well. Paras Mamre has done the journey equally. He's
Yeah,
traveled the same road almost. He's worked with the under 19, India is. So Paras Mamre as bowling coach, quite possible in the future. One
absolutely.
last comment, okay, before we wrap. Shikhar Dhawan as captain, I kind of liked what I saw.
I mean, I was a little disappointed in the second T20 Arun where he did. Maybe he should have allowed a Padikkal to bat, open the innings where he's more comfortable with, and batted lower down the order as a senior batsman where he could have like batted his way. So that was the only part, and I mean, yeah, that there wasn't much that he could do, but I mean, he's obviously. Did you see him talk to the Sri Lankan cricketers at the end
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the third? That was an heartening sight. That is so Shikhar Dhawan, where he's willing to lend his voice to people who want to listen. Very humble guy, will not
Very
shout,
humble.
will not like celebrate after a victory. But the boys standing around him, 7 to 8 guys talking, understanding. At the end of it, he's a big player in white ball cricket. He's averaging 45, 46 for India at 94. It's a huge batsman.
Hmm. And like I said, good to see him be captain. Guy's got nothing, no attitude, no ego, nothing. He's one of those. All happened a few years ago when he said, "If I play for India, I play for India. I'm not going to sit over, not getting an opportunity." But
Yeah.
every game he takes it one day at a time, and it was good to see. Good to see him be captain. Good to see him share that experience at the end of the series.
Absolutely. But happy times for Sri Lanka. We are glad we as cricket fans
Happy
want
times
to
for Sri
see.
Lanka, but they've got a challenge now. Just before we wrap, they've got to play the World Cup qualifier, the preliminary stage of the World Cup, Akhil. Now, that's the big competition.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka and Bangladesh are the two, the among the full members who have to go through that preliminary stage.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they build from this.
Yeah, I'm hoping too. I mean, it depends on the kind of conditions also they get. They prefer to play in certain conditions. So, hoping that they qualify and they can put up a good show in the T20 World Cup. But it's been a good series, lots of different aspects that we got to speak about. As usual, nice talking to you, and we'll be back again here at Timeout with SportsAdda.